In honor of the 250th anniversary of these United States, let's talk about the least sexy founding father and why he should vaporize your obsession with views and followers. His name is Ben Franklin, and Ben is what happens when a scraggly old dude with gout decides he doesn't even care what the room thinks he looks like, as long as he can still play the long game. This is your mic. My name is Freddy Cruz, and we are talking about how one old printer with bad joints and good ideas can rewrite the way you see your show. Before there was even a United States, Franklin was out here running a proto-Substack under fake names, roasting powerful people in a newspaper as Silence Do-Good. He was only 16. He was already talking about how essential it is that folks can criticize their rulers and debate public issues in print. This guy, he spends his life defending what we now wrap in the phrase freedom of speech, freedom of the press. Not because it's cute, not because it polls well, but because he understands something dark and simple. If you want to rule people, you start by choking the flow of information and scaring people into silence. So when you sit down to record your show that you think doesn't matter, you're not just doing content marketing. You are stepping into an argument this man bled and limped his way through 250 years ago. You are taking your place in a very, very old fight about who gets to talk, who has to shut up, and who holds the mic. The city is Philadelphia. It's the Constitutional Convention. And Franklin walks in pushing 80. He's in pain. He's got gout, kidney issues, chronic everything. Next to guys like Hamilton and Madison, he looks like the dude wandered into a law review. A bunch of those younger delegates don't even think he's a big deal. To them, he's nothing more than a mascot, a living logo for the revolution. Cute to have him there, but not the future of this new nation. And yet, when the whole thing is about to fall apart over disagreements, who do they ask to give the final speech to pull everyone together and get them to sign? That frail, unimpressive, old printer. He stands up, barely, and basically says, look, this document is flawed. I don't agree with all of it, but I don't trust my own judgment enough to think I'm right and everyone else is wrong. Let's doubt ourselves just enough to be united. He's not the loudest voice. He's the one the room trusts when it actually matters. Oftentimes, my dashboard makes me look like that old dude with gout. My YouTube views, embarrassing. My follower count, People might think, this Freddy guy, not impressive. Meanwhile, my company, Speke Podcasting, is over here working with literal icons, institutional nonprofits, an actual bank, doctors, lawyers, people like that. And if somebody judged me by the optics, they'd miss where the real power and influence is. Founders in that room at the Constitutional Convention in Philly, they judged Franklin's body and age. History judged his impact. Now, let's do this. Let's ship him to France. On paper, he's old, he's soft, he's sick. Ben's not exactly a Marvel superhero. In Paris, they lose their minds over him during the revolution. He leans into this as simple American sage persona. Fur cap instead of powdered wig. Plain clothes instead of noble cosplay. French women start wearing wigs styled after his cap. They hang on his jokes, his letters, his presence. He is somehow a sex symbol. Not even lying here. This man, he had Beliebers and Swifties before Beliebers and Swifties were ever a thing. They called themselves Franklinistas. Yeah, let that one sink in. Franklinistas in powdered hair. They literally wore cringy hats for him. And he uses this weird little cult for something deadly serious. He's there to get France to fund and arm a rebellion. He turns salon gossip old man charisma, and chess games into ships, guns, and loans that keep the American Revolution alive. Remember that constitutional convention we just talked about? It would never have happened without that trip to France. But notice what he does not have. He does not have mass reach in the way we worship it now. There are no viral clips. There's no trending page. He has the right people's attention in the right room at the right time. He's got depth, not breadth. He monetizes trust, not impressions. And that, my friend, is your playbook. You're not screaming into the void for a million strangers. You're building something specific and sharp enough that when the right person hears you, they move money, they move strategy, they move their career in your direction. From the outside, you're the guy with the tiny show. Inside the right circles, you're the person they text when it's time to make something real. So let's tie this back to the 4th of July. Independence didn't come from muskets and marching. It came from pamphlets, essays, newspaper wars. Franklin's entire life is one long experiment in using words, jokes, pseudonyms, and public debate to pry open the minds of people who'd rather stay comfortably obedient. And make no mistake, the vast majority of colonists, they didn't favor the revolution. Ben understood this. Speech is dangerous. Speech is messy. Speech is necessary. Your podcast, especially if you actually say something, sits right in that tradition. It's about as American as you could possibly get. Every single time you tell the truth about your industry instead of selling a fantasy, every time you admit your show is not a numbers monster, but still a revenue generator that your colleagues are envious of, every time you push back on the religion of whatever it is your industry is obsessed with, every time you share the story nobody else in your niche wants to tell, you are exercising that exact muscle Franklin spent his entire life defending. You're not just talking into a mic. You're refusing to be subdued by silence or by other people's shallow scoreboards. And I want to talk about vanity metrics for a second because this is where people get wrecked. From the cheap seats, YouTube views might almost be non-existent. Follower counts are not blowing anybody's minds. Engagement looks quiet to the loudest people in your feed. But then, when you zoom in on reality, think about the people that you are serving. That, my friend, is Franklin in France energy. The aristocrats in Versailles did not care whether he could fill a football stadium. Football stadiums didn't even exist back in the 18th century. No, they cared whether he could be trusted, whether his ideas made sense, whether aligning with him helped them win their long game against the British. Your people, they don't care if you've got 1 million followers. They care that your show helps them not sound stupid, not waste money, and not quit on themselves. If a stranger glances at your numbers and sneers, who the hell cares? They're not in the room where it happens. They're not the ones signing checks. They're not the ones working with iconic clients. You are. So, if you're a host sitting there and you're thinking, my show's going nowhere, I should probably quit. I want you to be blunt for a second. You and me. Let's do it. You might already have your version of a French loan and a Franklinista cult, and you're just refusing to see it. Ask yourself this. Have I had even one DM or email that said, I needed to hear this? Have I had one peer text me a screenshot of my episode and say, finally, someone said it? Is there even a tiny cluster of people who rearrange their day when my episodes drop? If yes, you have the seed of a Franklin-style following. It might not be massive, it might not be flashy, but it's 1,000% real. Now, layer on impact metrics that actually matter. Retention, and completion rates, replies to your newsletter, the quality of guests and clients the show is pulling in. The fact that your P&L looks better than creators with 5 times your audience, that is a big one. Suddenly, small show starts looking like underestimated juggernaut, if you know what I mean, and I'm sure you do. Franklin's contemporaries did not fully grasp what he was doing in those French drawing rooms. Your contemporaries don't fully grasp what you're doing on your mic, and that's fine. Oh yeah, it is. A-okay. Because history is long and the receipts always pile up. So, as you're grilling hot dogs and yelling at your kids not to blow their fingers off with fireworks this Independence Day, here's your homework. Stop worshiping the wrong kinds of numbers. The founders never risked their necks so you could base your self-worth on a YouTube counter. Treat your show like Franklin treated the press. As a weapon. As a lab. As a sacred obligation to say things that are true and necessary, not just popular. Accept being underestimated. Be the gouty old printer in the corner whose words actually move the room, not the shiny new influencer everybody forgets in 6 months. Build your own Franklinistas. Make your own cult of people who'd wear cringe hats for you if you asked, because your work changed something real in their lives. Remember, it doesn't take a massive audience to fund a revolution. It takes the right people paying attention and a host who refuses to shut up. You want independence? Start by declaring it from the algorithm. Then go make something so undeniably useful that, like Franklin, you're shaping the future even if you don't look impressive to the naked eye. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, all right, I get it. I'm Franklin in France, but I still don't know what the hell to do next with my show. That's exactly why this podcast exists. So go back and binge listen if you haven't already. And if you want a step-by-step way to turn this rant into an actual plan, not just fluff, grab the Speke Podcasting Roadmap. It's the framework I use with clients to build shows that don't just look good on paper, but that move real people. So here's your next move. Go down to the show notes of this very episode, click on speakpodcasting.com/free resources and get that Speke Roadmap at no charge. Then come back to this podcast and let's build something so undeniable even Franklinistas would have worn hats for it. Because your show might be tiny today, but in the right hands with the right roadmap, it can still topple empires. So get it. speakpodcasting.com/free resources. That is SPEKE podcasting.com/free resources.